Andrew Breitbart is dead at age 43. I knew Andrew. We ran in the same circles from 2002 to 2007. I believe we had our first extended conversation at a party at the Culver City apartment of Noah Shockman, who's now the editor of Wired magazine. And that first interaction kind of set the template for my future interactions with Andrew. He was very generous, particularly with his opinions. So he would do 90% of the talking, and I just listened. We were both kind of pioneering bloggers. Andrew helped out with the Drudge Report, and I started blogging in 1997. So we were both a little bit disreputable, both skeptical of the mainstream media's sanitized, kind of pious way of presenting the news. We had virtually identical political and cultural views. We both badly wanted mainstream success, respectability. We both wanted so much more than just being bloggers. Andrew in particular wanted badly to be a pundit, so I know it must have really hurt him when ABC News eventually kicked him off their 2010 election coverage. Andrew took me to dinner once. I was at the Magic Carpet on Pico Blvd around 2004, and then we walked up and down Pico Blvd talking about our plans for success. Andrew said he had the money for a documentary, so he was going to work on a documentary with the aim of becoming a pundit. So we were running in the same circles. We were at the same parties together probably 50 times between 2002 and 2007. I enjoyed listening to him talk. It's not so much the ideas, though they were interesting, but his gossipy observations on life. He knew how so many conservative intellectuals would push to get more play on the Drudge Report. He knew which ones were closeted gays. He was a great source of gossip. Told me about how the Drudge Report got many of its early stories, big scoops. So we were both bloggers, and we were both kind of outside the mainstream media, but really enjoyed bashing the mainstream media, but even more so enjoyed getting mainstream media coverage of ourselves. So we were both pushing ourselves forward. So even though we had basically identical political views, Andrew was much more partisan. He was always going out there to do battle with the left. So politics for Andrew kind of played the same role that religion played in my life. So while I would go to synagogue almost every day, Andrew would go into battle against the left almost every day. I learned fairly early on that advocacy was not something that I was suited for. I was much better as an interviewer or as an observer or writing confessional pieces. But when I would advocate for something, I'd bring disrepute on that thing. Kathy Sipe, her daughter Maya, and I went to Andrew's Palm Springs place Memorial Day weekend of 2004. And Andrew was always very generous. He would take over the Drudge Report for 4 hours or 6 hours at a time. We'd watch how he'd do it. It would be fascinating because he'd get so many emails that would just pour through, and you'd see him rearrange the headlines and point out the stuff above the fold. That was just Matt's exclusive responsibility, but Andrew would look around for the best links and best headlines for all the links below the fold of the Drudge Report. Never saw Andrew Breitbart at peace. He was always striving, always wanted more. His family was a top priority. He loved his wife. He was monogamous. He didn't throw away his resources on drugs or hookers. Loved his kids, worked hard to provide for them. He's a real brawler. You have to just get out there and brawl with the left. And not everything he said and did was particularly considered. That was actually kind of rare. It was more kind of from the gut. He had that kind of burning, the convert's zealousness and fervor. So I grew up an evangelical Seventh-day Adventist, so I was familiar with that convert fervor and desire to evangelize. For Andrew, this was primarily expressed politically. Great dinner companion, great party companion, just very entertaining guy, and always lots to say. And he never seemed jealous of other people's success.